Welcome back, boys and girls. I'm ready for my second story today, and it is called Purple, Green, and Yellow. And the author is Robert Munch, and it was illustrated by Helene Desputo. Now, this story I really like because most kids have asked their parents sometime if they can have markers. You know, magic markers, permanent markers, and a few times parents say no. And you know what they're afraid of. They're afraid that you're going to color all over the house. Well, this is a story about a little girl who promises that she won't be naughty with the colors. But see what happens. Purple, green, and yellow. Brigid went to her mother and she said, I need some coloring markers. All my friends have coloring markers. They draw wonderful pictures. Mommy, I need some coloring markers. Oh no, said her mother. I've heard about those coloring markers. Kids draw on walls. They draw on the floor. They draw on themselves. You can't have any coloring markers. Well, said Brigid, there are these new coloring markers. They wash off with just water. I can't get into any trouble with coloring markers that wash off. Could you get me some of those? Well, said her mother. All right. So her mother went out and got Brigid 500 washable coloring markers. So Brigid, she went upstairs to her room and she drew wonderful pictures. She drew lemons that were yellower than lemons, and roses that were redder than roses, and oranges that were oranger than oranges. Her mother was amazed. She said, wow, my kid's an artist. But after about a week, Brigid got bored. She went to her mother and said, Mom, did I draw on the wall? No, said her mother. Did I draw on the floor? No, said her mother. Did I draw on myself? No, said her mother. Well, said Brigid, I didn't get into any trouble, and I need some new coloring markers. All my friends have them. Mommy, there are coloring markers that smell. They have ones that smell like roses and lemons and oranges, and even ones that smell like cow plops. Mom, they have coloring markers that smell like anything you want. Mom, I need those coloring markers. Her mother went out and got 500 markers that smelled. And then Brigid went upstairs and she drew pictures. She drew lemons that smelled like real lemons, and roses that smelled like real roses, and oranges that smelled like real oranges, and even cow plops, well, that smelled like real cow plops. Her mother said, wow, my kid's an artist. But after about a week, Brigid got bored. She said, Mom, did I draw on the floor? No, said her mother. Did I draw on the walls? No, said her mother. Did I draw on myself? No, said her mother. Well, said Brigid, I need some new coloring markers. These are the best kind. All my friends have them. They are super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers. Mom, I need them. So her mother went out and got 500 super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers. Brigid took them and drew pictures for 3 weeks. She drew lemons that looked better than lemons, roses that looked better than roses, and oranges that looked better than oranges, and sunsets that looked better than real sunsets. But then she got bored. She said, I'm kind of tired of drawing on that paper, but I'm not going to draw on the walls. I'm not going to draw on the floor, and I'm not going to draw on myself. But everybody knows it's okay to color your fingernails. Even my mother colors her fingernails. So Brigid took a purple, super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring marker, and she colored her thumbnail bright purple. And that was so pretty. She colored all of her fingernails purple, black, and yellow. And that was so pretty. She colored her hands yellow, green, and red. And that was so pretty. She colored her face purple, green, yellow, and blue. And that was so pretty. She colored her belly button blue. And that was so pretty. She colored herself all sorts of colors, almost entirely all over. Then Brigid, well, she looked in the mirror and she said, what have I done? My mother is going to kill me. So she ran into the bathroom. She washed her hands for half an hour. Nothing came off. Her hands still looked like mixed up rainbows. But then she had a wonderful idea. She reached all the way down to the bottom of the coloring markers, and she got out a special colored marker. It was the same color that she was. She took that marker and she colored herself all over until she was her regular color again. In fact, she looked even better than before. Almost too good to be true. She went downstairs and her mother said, why, Brigid, you look really good today. Right, said Brigid. Then her mother said, it's time to wash your hands for dinner. But Brigid, she was afraid that the special color would not stick to the other colors that were underneath. So she said, I already washed my hands already. But her mother smelled her hands and said, aha, no soap. So she took Brigid into the bathroom and washed her hands and her face. And guess what? All of the special color did come off, and Brigid looked like mixed up rainbows. Oh no, said her mother. Brigid, did you color your hands with the coloring markers that wash off? No. Brigid, did you color your hands with the coloring markers that smell? No. Did you use the super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers? Yeah. Yikes, said her mother. She called the doctor and said, help, help, help. My daughter has colored herself with super indelible, never come off until you're dead, and maybe even later coloring markers. Oh dear, said the doctor. Sometimes they never come off. The doctor did come over and gave Brigid a large orange pill. And she said, take this pill, wait 5 minutes, and then take a bath. So Brigid took the pill. She waited 5 minutes, jumped into the bathtub. Her mother just stood outside the door and yelled, is it working? Is it working? Yes, said Brigid. Everything is coming off. And Brigid was right. Everything had come off. And when Brigid walked out of the bathroom, she was invisible. "Oh no," yelled her mother. "You can't go to school if you're invisible. You can't go to university if you're invisible. You'll never get a job if you're invisible. Brigid, you've wrecked your life." "Don't worry," said Brigid. She ran into her room, got the special colored marker, and she colored herself all over, entirely all over her body, until you couldn't tell the difference. In fact, she actually looked better than before. Almost too good to be true. But her mother said, "Brigid, you can't go through life like that. You're just a picture. Everyone will know there is something wrong." "No, they won't," said Brigid. "Yes, they will," said her mother. "No, they won't," said Brigid. "I colored Daddy while he was taking a nap, and you haven't noticed anything yet." "Good heavens!" yelled her mother. She ran into the living room and looked at Daddy. You know, he looked even better than before. Almost too good to be true. "Doesn't he look great?" said Brigid. I couldn't even tell the difference," said her mother. "Right," said Brigid, "and neither will he. As long as he doesn't get wet." And that is Purple, Green, and Yellow by Robert Munsch. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night.